I was 24 years old when I sailed with Captain Rodrigo de Alvarado into waters no Spanish ship had charted. The year was 1534, and we left Havana with 18 men aboard the caravel Santa Elena. Our mission was simple: explore an unmapped island chain and return with knowledge of safe harbors and tradable goods. The Crown wanted gold. Captain Alvarado wanted his name on a map. None of us got what we wanted. On the fourth morning, we sighted the island. It rose as a dark mass of volcanic rock crowned with thick jungle. Steam vented from cracks near the summit, and sulfurous air reached us even at 3 miles distance. We found a bay where a river emptied into the sea. Captain Alvarado selected 6 men for landing: himself, Coelho the pilot, Father Domingo, Juan the gunner, a soldier, and myself to record everything. Black volcanic sand crunched under our boots, retaining heat like a griddle. Massive trees rose behind the beach with buttressed roots spread like spider legs. We heard no birds. The silence felt deliberate, as if the island watched us through hidden eyes. Father Domingo planted a wooden cross while we unloaded water casks. I sketched the scene in my journal. At the river, Juan discovered strange marks on rocks near the bank, parallel grooves cut deep into stone. Each set of 4 marks spread wider than a man could reach with both arms. The grooves were fresh, showing no weathering. I measured and sketched them carefully. The soldier loaded his arquebus with slow, deliberate movements. We followed the river inland to a waterfall that dropped 30 feet into a deep pool. On the rocks we found more claw marks, dozens scored into stone. In soft mud at the pool's edge we saw footprints, 3 forward-facing toes and 1 rear-facing toe, each tipped with a curved claw longer than my hand. The stride measured 8 feet. Whatever made them walked upright and weighed at least 500 pounds. Father Domingo knelt and crossed himself, speaking of ancient creatures from before the flood. Captain Alvarado ordered us to make a wax casting for proof. Then we heard it, a sound like a great horn blown long and low, followed by sharp barks echoing off rocks. A second call answered from the west, a third from the beach. They were communicating. The captain ordered immediate retreat. When we reached the beach, our longboat had been moved 10 feet higher on the sand, dragged by immense strength. The oars lay scattered, 2 snapped in half. Our chest of trade beads had been opened and emptied, colorful glass scattered in deliberate patterns. 3-toed prints overlapped everywhere, as if multiple creatures had examined our vessel with great curiosity. As we pushed the boat into surf, something emerged from the jungle. The creature stood upright on 2 powerful legs, its body covered in scales that shimmered green and gold. Its massive head was elongated with forward-facing eyes like a hunter's. Rows of curved teeth lined its mouth, each as long as a dagger. Short, heavily muscled arms ended in 3-fingered hands with those terrible claws. It stood 15 feet tall and watched us with unmistakable intelligence. Juan raised his arquebus, but Captain Alvarado ordered him to hold. The creature hadn't charged. It simply observed, tilting its head like a curious bird. A second creature emerged to its right, then a third. 3 monsters from an age before men standing in shadows and studying us. Father Domingo's prayers stopped. I forced myself to breathe and memorized every detail. The largest took 1 step forward, its foot leaving a deep print in black sand. We scrambled into the boat and pulled desperately on oars. The creatures watched without following. They stood at the tide line, observing our escape with curiosity rather than hunger. When we reached 50 yards from shore, the largest raised its head and called out in that low, horn-like sound. The others answered, their voices carrying across water like an ancient song. Aboard the Santa Elena, Captain Alvarado called a council in his cabin with Father Domingo, Juan, and myself. He laid it out clearly. We'd discovered creatures that shouldn't exist. They showed intelligence and curiosity. They'd examined our possessions without destroying them. They hadn't attacked despite clear advantage. What should we do with this knowledge? Father Domingo argued for reporting to the bishop in Havana. Juan wanted to return with more men and weapons. The captain asked my opinion. I told him the creatures moved with intelligence. They'd let us leave unharmed. Returning with weapons would be dishonorable and disastrous. Captain Alvarado sat silent, then ordered us to set course for Havana. He said our report should describe an island of volcanic activity, and difficult terrain, unsuitable for settlement. The creatures would not be mentioned. The footprints would be called erosion. We would swear to this version, I protested. Father Domingo called it a sin against truth. The captain's voice turned cold and practical. If we reported accurately, the Crown would send soldiers to secure the island. Men would die. The creatures would be hunted and killed. For what? These beings had harmed no one. They lived in isolation on a worthless island. Let them remain unknown. Our Christian duty was to protect the weak, even if that meant keeping secrets from powerful men. I thought about this as the ship swayed at anchor. Through the window, I could see the island's dark profile. Somewhere in that jungle, 3 massive creatures called to each other in ancient voices. They'd let us live when they could have killed us. They'd shown mercy. Perhaps the captain was right. Perhaps some wonders should stay hidden from men who conquered everything they touched. I walked to the ship's brazier with my journal. I tore out pages describing the island, the footprints, the creatures. I fed them to coals one by one and watched paper curl and blacken. When the last page burned, I returned and signed the false report. Father Domingo signed after me, hand shaking. The captain sealed it with wax. We left with morning tide. The island disappeared into ocean haze. I watched from the stern until I could no longer distinguish land from sky. My journal now contained only vague notes about volcanic formations. The official report said we found nothing of interest. The creatures would remain unknown, protected by lies and false charts. But I made one addition where no one would think to look. On the final page, hidden among personal observations, I drew a small symbol, 3 toes with curved claws. Below it, I wrote in Latin, "Here there be dragons, and they were kind to us." Someday, centuries from now, someone might find that note and wonder. Let them wonder. Some truths are too dangerous for ambitious men. Some wonders should remain undiscovered, living in peace in hidden places. I saw what I saw. I know what lived on that island, and I chose to let it remain at peace in the shadows of history.